Queen of Karma.
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? I hope you are all doing very, very well. Let's just get right into it. On January 8th, 2022, an emergency call came through for paramedics to respond to a home on the east side of, I think it's pronounced Wausau, on Garfield Avenue. It wasn't the first call that week. In fact, it wasn't even the third. Paramedics had been to that residence more than 5 times in just a matter of days. Each time they found the same thing: an elderly woman in distress, a granddaughter insisting she was fine, and a situation that didn't quite add up. But on that January morning, January 8th, 2022, everything changed. When first responders walked through the door, they found 80-year-old Alene Schrader unresponsive. This time, she wasn't breathing. This time, she couldn't be revived. And this time, the story they were being told didn't match what they were seeing. At first, no one knew exactly what had happened. The scene didn't scream foul play, but it didn't look natural either. Something felt off. Something felt wrong. And after so many emergency calls in such a short period of time, and now an elderly woman who has passed away, paramedics alerted police. That decision, that moment, is what opened the door to an investigation that would eventually uncover a belief system, a pattern of neglect, and a connection to an MLM wellness company that no one expected. So tonight we're going to walk through what investigators found. We're going to look at the interrogation footage. We're going to discuss the Facebook post that raised red flags and the ideology that led a licensed nurse, yes, a licensed registered nurse, to say that she didn't believe in insulin. We're going to talk about Q Sciences, the MLM behind the QCore supplement bundle she was promoting, and how that belief system shaped the decisions that led to this poor grandma's death. And we're going to talk about the sentencing, a sentence that many feel doesn't even begin to reflect the harm that was done, and the fact that Q Sciences faced absolutely no accountability for the culture it promotes. Of course, right? This is not just a story about one woman's death. It's a story about what happens when wellness culture, MLM ideology, and medical misinformation collide with real-world consequences. So, let's start at the beginning with that January morning, that emergency call and the moment everything changed. Kandise Sheahen, the granddaughter, told first responders she didn't want her grandma to be taken to hospital, despite her elevated blood sugar level, and paramedics were prevented from taking the woman's vitals. In the weeks before her death, the diabetic grandmother had been experiencing prolonged hyperglycemia, which involves elevated blood sugar levels. When Kandise tried to get her grandmother's body cremated barely 24 hours after the death, family members grew even more suspicious of what led up to this woman's death, and they contacted the police, asking that they look further into the case. A subsequent investigation determined that Kandise removed her grandmother from essential prescribed medications, including insulin, blood pressure medications, and pain medications. Instead, Kandise administered non-FDA approved supplements, which she was also selling on Facebook. The autopsy later revealed the cause of her grandmother's death was diabetic ketoacidosis, compounded by existing COVID-19 infection and cardiovascular disease. Investigators found several dubious posts on Kandise's Facebook account that suggested that she had interfered in her grandmother's treatment. One of those posts said, 12 days on QCore and my 81-year-old grandma is down on her insulin and off her Tylenol. Sheahen later claimed the post was an advertisement, not her own experience. Marathon County Assistant District Attorney Sydney Brobatcher, I believe I'm saying that right, said that Kandise would have gotten away with it had one of her family members not felt that something wasn't right. This story has hit the tabloids again recently because this year, on February 5th, the interrogation video of Miss Kandise Sheahen was uploaded to a YouTube channel called Interrogation Files. I have clipped about 45 minutes of this nearly 2-hour interrogation that I feel is important for you to hear. I will butt in every once in a while to add some thoughts, but for the most part, I want us to watch what Kandise has to say about what happened, and then we will get into QCore and Q Sciences in more depth. I have linked the full video in the description if you want to watch it all, but it starts off with Kandise, her husband, and investigators sitting down to discuss what happened with her grandmother, Alene's care. Now, I just want to say she does discuss having some problems getting care for Alene. And I mean, that's a whole different conversation that we can have in terms of how hard it can be for caregivers to get care for the elderly patients that they are caring for. However, Kandise goes on to explain in this interrogation that she didn't have any help from family and was having trouble getting hospice. And they are a bit surprised, like the investigators, because hospice is for people who are at end of care. And they felt that Alene could have got medical care and not passed away. They find out that Kandise was fired from her nursing job for not getting vaccinated during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that she was still giving several patients care despite no longer working for the company. They later find out that she was actually promoting Q Sciences to all of these patients. They also explain the Facebook post, so I want you to hear it all directly from this first. So without further ado, I'll take a moment to say hello to everyone, and then we'll get right into it. Hello, sweet. Glad that you could make it. Hello, Aussie Sam. I love it. I love it, all the name changes, you know? Of course they don't see the punishment, right? But it's her fault and nothing. She was taught by uplines who were taught by uplines who bought into health claims from the founders of an MLM. Oh, I am mad today. Yep. Well, we'll get into all of it. Damn, your own granny? Yes. Yeah, it was her own grandmother. So we only have about 45 minutes of mainly the last half. Like I said, the whole thing is linked in the description down below. I basically want to concentrate on, remember, Kandise is a registered nurse, but she was fired because she didn't want to get vaccinated. She was anti-vax and was becoming anti-medicine, being in Q Sciences despite being a registered nurse. Just goes to show you how deep this manipulation can go, right? And so she explains that she was giving care, but she tries to minimize her involvement a lot. She says she wasn't around for the last week, that it was actually her sister that was caring for her grandma that last week because she was sick with COVID, by the way. And also that during like the care, especially during the last few months, she claims she wasn't really administering the insulin, she says. She says she was just calling her grandma up and like reminding her to take it. Trying to basically say it's not really her fault that her grandma wasn't taking the insulin. Unfortunately, she puts a lot of the blame on her grandma and goes into great detail. I don't want to platform that. I thought it was rather rude. But there's a little bit of it here. So let's just get into it.
You're basing your hospice assessment on what? Like what? So your reasoning for saying she wants hospice on what?
She doesn't want to go to the hospital and she's not doing well.
Okay.
What, like, I just like, what other, I mean, what do I do?
Well, I guess so where my concern comes in here is that, you know, we had a clear pattern of leading up to grandma's death that there was a med call there every day for grandma falling out of bed.
Yeah.
And now you've already said that, you know, like based off of your training and your experience that grandma's been diabetic for years, which those are all signs of having complications to her insulin levels, correct?
Yeah.
So I guess right away and initially my question was why did she not go to the hospital? Or why was she not receiving medical care?
She won't go to the hospital. The ambulance is there and she says she won't go.
We talked about the waiting room. We talked with the paramedic, like explaining to her what. And Nathan, if that was your father, would you have went to the hospital?
Well,
I mean, to a point, I asked the paramedics, like, what kind of care is she going to receive when she goes up there? Like, is she, like, are they busy? People die in the waiting, like, don't.
I mean, I'm going to be frank with you. Like I said, I'm not really in the vein of bullshitting you. So I guess in one of the medical reports specifically by EMS, they said that grandma was willing to go to the ER, and then you came out and said, you asked them how long it was going to take and how long they were going to be sitting there. And they said specifically that you then told grandma that, asked grandma if she wanted to go do that, and then declined medical care, even though she was at 523.
We gave her insulin. She didn't want to go to the hospital. We gave her insulin to compensate for that.
So yeah, she was at 532, which is ridiculous. And Kandise tries to convince them the entire time that normal blood sugar levels for her grandma were in between 200 to 300, which is considered very high. Normal is usually about 140, 160. And so, you know, there was a little bit of a weirdness with that. And gee, wonder where she got that idea from.
Did you check after that, her insulin levels?
Oh my God, dude. I was on the floor that night. So again, I can't answer all these questions because I wasn't really, help me.
I mean, why don't we just talk a little more generally then?
Like,
so you're caring for her for a long time and you're administering her insulin to her, and I assume, my guess would be you're probably testing her before you give her insulin, right?
Well, she tested, okay. I never administered her insulin. She administered her own insulin, so let's.
Okay, and so what you're saying is you just manage that, so you would call her and
Grandma, check your blood sugar, take your insulin. Grandma, check your blood sugar, take your insulin.
How did she determine the amount she was going to take?
She called.
She called, and yeah, it was 2015.
She called. I guess help me understand. She called you?
Yeah.
And then you would tell her?
If Kandise wouldn't answer, she'd call me, and then I'd go.
And I tell her the same thing over and 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 over. Like,
So were these, I mean, did she have a scale she was using from the doctor?
No, it was her.
Now, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems to me like she's annoyed by it here. Like the way that she's like, I had to tell her over and over and over again what to do. She mentions during this that her grandma might have had some dementia. So it's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, you would have to remind her. If she's elderly and has dementia, of course. Like, but just the way that she says it, it seems like she was annoyed with having to care at times. Maybe it's just me reading too much into it, though.
Where?
Her set amount. Insulin, I mean, her set amounts. She was on set amounts.
So she's on 2 different insulins, right?
Short acting, long acting, yeah.
Okay. And so the long acting, I would guess, is what, like the same every day, I would assume, for her, no matter what?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did you choose how much to give her the fast acting insulin?
The fast acting, she was supposed to have 5 or 6 units or something that would help with that. But the thing is if her blood sugar was 200, and I've talked to the doctor about this, getting under 200, it's not good. I will fight this till the day I die. Older people cannot be at the same blood sugar levels as we could. She would get dizzy, she would get lightheaded, she would have symptoms of hypoglycemia. So the long acting is what we regularly did. And then with her getting more confused, like I couldn't.
I mean, I'll love you with you there, but obviously I think you would acknowledge that there's a big difference between 300 and 5.3, right?
So yeah, as you heard, she argued with the doctor about the levels. Like the doctor is saying 300, that's very high, especially for an elderly woman in her 80s with diabetes. No, it shouldn't be at that. And Kandise here is like, no, I know more. I know more than what the doctor says. Like there's no real medical proof that you'll hear them say later that, you know, the grandma should have had 200 to 300 levels and shouldn't have been taking insulin regularly as prescribed.
Yep.
And that's where we have a concern, is that we actually, so the search warrant that we did, we located grandma's log, and it gave us a really good information of like when she was checking, how often she was checking, what her levels were at, and it appeared that basically from the end of December till her death, it drastically changed. Like within a couple days, those numbers were completely out of whack.
Okay.
And so I guess what we're getting at here is that, like, you know, before you said when we interviewed you that, like, yeah, you know, I checked these numbers and I helped administer, or grandma would administer, and like, so did you ever have concern with how high those numbers were?
Again, I wasn't taking care of her the last week of her death. Do you understand me? I was sick. I was doing the best I could with what I had. He, who knows nothing about medical, was the only one that was, again, help me. I'm irritated.
So I guess the other thing which we have not addressed at all up until this point is QCore. QCore. Sounds like you know about the post that we're referring to, that family had concern with, and up until this point, you've never mentioned QCore as far as grandma being on that. Is there a reason for that?
The vitamins, they're over the counter.
But I think in which I share the same concern, is that in your post specifically, there was posts about how you had removed or you had limited grandma's insulin by putting her on QCore.
That is incorrect.
So you heard that? They found the post. This is the Facebook post that we were referring to, that they found. And these Facebook posts that they found are her promoting the Q Sciences multi-level marketing scheme. You know? JLW had similar views of diabetics too. Yep. Sounds convincing, right? She's just like freaking out. Over the counter. I know. I found that interesting too, sweet, how she described them as over the counter vitamins. No, sweetie. They're MLM supplements. That's even worse. Okay. That isn't even over the counter vitamins, you know? She's making me angry. Yeah, she might do that.
Explain that to me.
What does the post say?
You're like, yeah, we got it. Let's get it out.
The reason why we have that concern is because you said that grandma's been on QCore for 12 days, and that you've dramatically seen her levels decrease. Here it is. So, because we're not denying making that post, but I guess
I can see how that post could be construed like you aren't seeing it, and like whoever, okay? I can see that.
Yep. And so obviously that's a concern.
I did not put her on QCore and take her off her insulin, and it never says that in that post. What that post was an advertising thing. What I seen is she continued to forget doses randomly here and there. And with the QCore on board, I was able to see that ultimately she is forgetting doses of insulin, and her blood sugars are better, per se. I did not withhold her insulin. I did not choose to take her off of her insulin, and nowhere in there did I say I removed her.
But do you see, I mean, I guess, and maybe you can lend some context to us for this. When we look at the combination of this post with the numbers that are in her meter, the numbers that are in her meter from the medical establishment, they would say that those numbers are extremely high. The blood sugar numbers that she had in her meter.
When? That last week of her death?
Probably the last month. The last 30 days is kind of what we looked at. They were all very high. There were a few that were in the hundreds.
What's very high?
Typically between, certainly more than 200.
No, that's not very high. 200 to 300 is where she did the best.
And where, I guess, help me understand. So was that from the doctor with that
We've had this conversation with the doctor multiple times, and so has Grandma.
And what was the response from the doctor there? What were their thoughts on that?
They want their A1C within da 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 da.
Yeah, I think they want it like below 7 or something.
They want mine below 7 too, buddy.
Okay.
You're not going to get a diabetic with, again, she's never been below 7, no matter how well we've kept her in.
She was below 6, yeah.
Okay. Because I think something there, I mean,
That's a little bit worrisome to me. She's never been below 7, no matter how well we've kept her. Could that be because maybe you weren't keeping her that well and you were feeding her QCore the entire time? And it probably has a lot of sugars and shit in it that would spike your levels? I'm just wondering.
certainly that the average number that she had would equate to a much higher A1C than probably what the doctor was asking for, I would think, right?
I don't know, because the doctor rescheduled the appointment in December, whatever it was that we were supposed to see her for, whatever that November, December.
I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, and what we want to understand is, because what we have to kind of rectify in our mind is, we have this difference between kind of what the medical folks are saying and what you're saying, right? The doctors obviously would say, you know, we want our blood sugar to be like 150 and under, probably.
Yeah, well, when the doctor comes and lives with me and watches her under 200, then they can talk.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I just want to.
I'm sorry. I mean,
So what I'm hearing you say is the doctor had a range that they wanted the numbers to be.
No, and they really didn't give a rate. I mean, she didn't really give, like, you talk about all these numbers, like, there wasn't. Yes, they wanted their A1C below 7, but do you know what your blood sugars need to be below to get your A1C below 7? Like 110 to 130.
Yeah, about 130, 140.
Mm-hmm. She's never been 130 or 140 her whole entire life. So,
I guess, and where we're trying to figure it out, and you have to understand from our position as investigators, right? What's tough for us is we don't know you guys. We're learning from
I get
everybody.
it, and I don't mean to be crabby with you guys.
And I respect that. And I get that. It's an emotional topic. What we have to try to figure out is, you know, the difference in our mind when we're investigating is we have a doctor that's probably going to say, boy, 200's high, we'd like that lower, right? I think we'd all agree on that. Her doctor probably under 2.
Sure.
Right? And what I'm trying to make sure I really understand is when you tell us that she does the best between 200 and 300, which is different than what her doctor says, I just want to make sure
When
I
I say she does
understand.
the best, I physically see her mentally,
Okay.
physically, up and about, with it, mentality, like just the best grandma can be.
Right, smile, she'll do this.
Right, she's comprehending, she's, you know.
Okay. And when you say that when you said before that you feel that elderly people need to have a higher blood sugar than younger people, help me understand that. I haven't heard that
That's
before.
the case. I mean, if you look at the criteria, like, that, you can't have it, I don't care what Joe Biden says, okay? I don't care. Like, you you patients.
What?
I have a couple.
I'm just
people
asking. I'm
that-
not saying you're wrong.
No, I understand this, but this is
When I was first watching this, I was like, wait, you don't care what Joe Biden says. What does Joe Biden have to do with this? And then I was like, oh, she's talking about the medical stuff. Okay.
this constant struggle as a nurse, is a constant struggle in the medical field, is you have Joe Biden and his strict criteria of what he feels like, that's fine. But as a family member, that criteria, they don't do well. Your ambulance would have been there 150 times if I kept her blood sugars down in the 130s like they wanted them. Because she doesn't do well like that. She doesn't focus, she doesn't comprehend. And I had this conversation with her provider.
So what I'm hearing you say is that
I think she's like blaming Joe Biden for like the the health criterias, like the fact that he was his president. It's his fault. It's his fault. An anti-vax nurse voting for Trump definitely tracks. That's pretty much what's going on here.
that was something that you, so when we look at those numbers and we see, you know, the 220s, the 230s, 240s, this kind of thing, that was kind of where you wanted her to be intentional.
Where she felt the best.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Okay, we can say that's fine. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, so when you say that, I'm understanding here that at some point you helped guide her a little bit to keep her in that range, right?
Well, I reminded her to take her insulin, which kept her in that range. I mean, that's what you call guiding.
And what I want to just figure out, and what I'm trying to figure out, is what the amounts that she's taking is. So she's got, you said that the doctor's got this long-acting insulin that's the same every day, and then is the short-acting the same at every meal, or is that changed based on what she's eating?
Yeah, it's the same at every meal. Let me tell you, except for we were using a Dexcom on it. Should I be done?
What's your husband gonna do?
Do I need an attorney? That's where I'm at right now. Like,
I'm just trying to figure.
I
I'm just trying to
know you are,
understand.
buddy. I know, but I'm scared and I trust nobody. Okay,
So,
like,
That's okay.
I'll tell you this, is that it has not changed. I'm taking any custody, anything like that.
I want to help you. I want to answer your questions. I've been cooperative through this whole thing, but I also know you went to school.
Well, I think we're talking about a really sore topic here, right? And I think it's easy to feel like you're being accused of things. And I get where that comes from, because you're at a police department. Even though you're voluntarily right, it's stressful to talk to folks. I just want to understand where you're at, because like Detective Stetzer shared, there were some people that made accusations, and if those things aren't true, part of our job too is to dispel those things, right? If someone comes to us and they say, I think somebody's done something wrong, and we do an investigation and you haven't, that's also part of our job. And there's been cases, many of them in my career, where I started an investigation based on a complaint I get from a citizen, and by the end of it I discovered that, no, I really don't feel like anybody did anything wrong here. This investigation isn't over yet.
I did the best I could with what I had. That's what I can tell you over and over.
Yeah. So you said she just took the same amount no matter what for all her meals. So when you would talk to her,
yeah,
okay,
the morning and the nighttime one, yep.
Yep.
And sometimes she wouldn't call me and I'd be at work, so she would just take her insulin. Now, I wasn't there. If she didn't take, again, I tried.
And you could tell her to take 10, but who's saying
She didn't dial the knob wrong, or you could tell her to take her amount. And I mean, there were times when we lived there. Grandma, take your insulin. She'd go to dial it up, and then she'd see a commercial on TV, and did you take your insulin? Oh, well, I got it sitting. Okay, come on, like.
Sure, I get that.
So again, yeah, I mean, I would tell her to do the thing that what they told me to tell her to do, and.
Okay. So they provided you with some kind of list of what she should take, is what I'm asking.
Insulin, which I have 3 boxes of insulin. I don't know how you did not find them. So there's 3 of them there in her drawer. The long-acting and short-acting, which if you want them, you can have them. But anyways, they were there. We just filled them, $400 worth of insulin.
Okay.
So that we help.
I guess, and I just want to make sure I clarify, because I heard you say when I asked, you said the long-acting was the same. When she would eat different foods, would she take a different dose of the short-acting?
There is no way. No.
So it was always the same?
Because she couldn't comprehend. And even the short-acting that they wanted her on to keep her under 7 was still up at 4 units, something really, really super, super tiny that made no difference in her sugars, mind you, okay? Like, the long-acting would make a difference in her sugars down the road, but that short-acting didn't quickly affect anything. So tell me how.
When her sugars would get down below 200, she'd drop down 60 at night.
It was all over the place. Like,
and then the alarm would be going off.
Then we had so I had the Dexcom monitor on her because she'd forget to poke. We did the Dexcom. Well, that's electronic nightmare, like to try to get this to correlate with this and this and this and get these to the doctor, and then it wouldn't download and it wouldn't. So that's why we went back to just, and it was very inaccurate. That Dexcom meter is very inaccurate. You could check her blood sugar on her finger and look at her Dexcom, and there would be 60 to 100 difference in those 2 monitors. That's frightening. That's why I'm like, okay, I can't, like, that, I don't care what they say about this meter, it needs some work. Because when you do a finger poke on somebody and there's a difference from what that meter's, because that meter tells us all the time what her blood sugar was, constantly. And I was able, if I could figure it out, able to download an app on my phone. That's why I got her that meter, because then I could keep a closer eye on it. And if she forgot to check it, well, I can get on my phone and, oh, what's it at? And that would indicate, hey, did you take your insulin today? Because your sugar's high. So we went back to finger pokes. But finger pokes, again, you want to talk about inaccurate? Do a finger poke on 3 different fingers and tell me which one you take. They're different. Do a finger poke on the left hand and the right hand. They're different. Not a ton, but they're different. So
basically, there's no way to check your sugar levels then, according to Kandise here. The machine doesn't work. The finger poking doesn't work. There's just no way. We're just screwed.
And do you take? Do you see, there's things when you're taking care of patients, you have to take into consideration. And when I look at my patient or my grandmother, and again, I say patient, she was not a patient. She was my grandmother. I was her caregiver. I was not getting paid as a nurse. I did not have a nurse name tag on at that time, but I used the best knowledge and what I've learned in the 15 years of being a nurse to take the best care I could for her.
And I'm like, we can't have it both ways, right? And like the fact that you are a nurse is obviously going to be taken into consideration, especially when they're looking at, did you give her the proper care? Which I could argue probably not, because it sounds like when you weren't around, you weren't ensuring that somebody else was there that could take over for you. And I know that it sucks, but you do have to get a family member, a friend, another healthcare nurse in, like, you also have to reach out and get the resources. And as a registered nurse, you would think that she would have had access to all of these resources and knowing how to get the proper help there to take care of her grandma, Not just like left her alone wondering if she took her insulin that day. Like, that alone to me seems negligent if you are the caregiver, right? Like, you can't just leave the house and be like, peace out, grandma. and then not have anyone else there to ensure that she is going to be well taken care of in that time. Like, it sucks, but that is kind of your responsibility as her caregiver, you know? Or you made her dependent on your supplements and you don't want to admit they don't work. Probably that too. Finger pokes are accurate. My dad and his sisters do it. And I'm sure the machine works fine too that she's talking about. You know what I mean? Hello, James. Welcome. Hey, Jelly Snack. Good to see you. Like, she's just like, oh, the machine doesn't work and the finger pokes don't work. But we don't have any proof of any of this, and neither do the investigators. All they have is these machines that are reading very, very high levels that they should not be reading, because this woman is 80 years old, she's diabetic, and she's got higher than even the 300, it sounds like, right? So this isn't good. And then they have this girl sitting here basically going, well, I know her best, so I told her that she needed to be at this amount, and none of these things work. And it's like, it looks a little iffy, you know? Just saying. The law holds you to a higher standard if you were qualified in that field, so they would look at what a reasonable nurse should have done. Exactly. Exactly. Like, because if you're not a nurse, then they're not going to expect you. But even I expect her to have more resources in this case. Even with her own grandma, she should have known what to look for. She should have known when to reach out for more help. She should know how to maybe even pull some strings. Who knows? You know, like she has, as James just brought up, a duty of care. So if she can't be there for her grandma for a day, she can't just leave her there alone, for example. And again, we don't know, like, according to what the investigators found, all they can tell is that her levels were high, and it looks like since her levels were so high, she wasn't taking her insulin. And as you can see here, Kandise really likes to victim blame her for that. And I'm like, well, it was kind of your job to make sure that happened, sis.
That answers your question.
So what I understand is you were just more reminding her to take her medicine.
Yeah.
And you're saying that's the extent of your involvement with that.
Yeah.
That was.
I mean, but Sam.
You weren't a caregiver. Like, literally, if you were just calling her up on the phone every once in a while, hey, Grandma, did you take your meds today? Then you're not a caregiver. All right. She was also the attorney of her state or whatever. So she was the one that made all of the medical decisions for her grandmother. So do you see how she's trying to, like, minimalize her? You know, she's like, I don't have anything to do here. Completely minimizing her role in the care. But then other times she's like, I was her only caregiver. You know, it's like you can't have that both ways. Some MLMs class their product sales as prescriptions. I hate that. It causes this stuff, you Muppets. Looking at Live Good. That's right. Yes, multi-level marketing. So, yeah.
Remind her to take it, and that's, you know,
Yeah,
she's her own person.
pills,
She's
same
taking it,
thing.
is
I
what
fill,
she's
honey, I would spend hours and fill 6 to 8 pill boxes for her with her pills in there.
See, and then she's like, well, I spent hours filling her pill bottles. Were you the caregiver or not, Kandise? Jesus Christ.
How much time again? And sit there and go through them and go through them and make sure everything's in there that needs to be in there. And she would have her pill box in her cart. Again, Grandma, when I talk, take your pills, take your insulin. But there were multiple times that I would come there. Grandma, you got 4 morning or 2 mornings and an AM pit, you know, because, oh yeah, I forgot that morning.
Well, Thursday and she'd still have Monday morning's pills.
Yeah, or just, you know, and that's the stuff I started seeing where in September where I'm like, ooh, you know, like.
So were those moved at all? Because I found all the pill cases.
Yeah, so we were at the end of our cycle. So I have a thing on my phone, January, like every.
They had all the pill cases. She just bought $400 of insulin, but they were at the end of the cycle.
8 weeks or whatever. I have like, so she had her last pill box would have been the week she was sick.
Good.
And then we had all the empty ones to get refilled again with all the other stuff that was there.
So I guess
she kept them in her cart.
Did they get moved from her cart though into her bedroom?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because there was nothing in her cart.
I don't know.
Okay, not a clue.
In other words, there was no medication where there was supposed to be her medication. Why does she not have her medication when she passed away in her home? She should have had her medication there. So either she didn't have medication at that time, and probably not for a while since they were completely empty, right? Or we can believe Kandise here, and that just happened to be the day that she ran out of all of them, and they were just about to go and fill them up again. You know?
Is there somewhere?
So you can see where we're kind of stuck in, like, you have doctors that are saying, well, if she received medical treatment, probably been a different outcome.
They can't say that.
How so?
She didn't want medical treatment. My job as her power of attorney is to honor her wishes. When I took her out of the nursing home 4 years ago, I promised her she wouldn't go back there. That was my job. And when she didn't want to go to the hospital, she didn't want to go to half her doctor's appointments. I dragged her to them. So when that's her wishes, that's my job to honor them. And that's what I'm leaving that.
So now all of a sudden she didn't want any treatment. She didn't want any care. You know?
I guess the concern here is that the autopsy is going to read that's a DKA death.
It's a what?
DKA death.
Oh.
And so obviously that is a concern because the levels are
Yep.
very abnormal.
Yep.
And so again, we have the doctors that are saying if this was controlled, it could have been prevented.
They could have done a better job. Have them come on over.
But you see where that's what we're trying to clarify.
I get it, buddy.
Yes, this is the granddaughter, and she was a registered nurse. Although she did lose her job, she was working for an agency in which she would go to people's homes and give them home care. And she had lost her job because she refused to get the COVID-19 vaccination. So this is back in 2022. And unfortunately, she was still seeing a lot of the patients. And they were all promoted Q Sciences. She said, take the Q Science stuff.
Facebook message
Off. How many people, relatives and grandmas, lay at home and die and rot because nobody does anything for them? I literally gave up 4 years of my life to make sure that woman got care and taken care of. But then, unfortunately, I didn't feel good. I got sick. And that's why I called hospice to come help me.
And the concern, when we look at that message, is obviously that Facebook post is before that week, before the death, right?
Yep, because she started forgetting her insulin more and more as the time went on, yep.
So my understanding is what you're saying is that in this Facebook post, which to us, and you agree, if you're just looking at it from a third person perspective, right, it looks like you're reducing the insulin she's taking, right? I think we all agree on that. It looks like that. And what you're saying is when you're saying she's taking less, it's because she's just not taking.
She was forgetting them. She was forgetting her doses, or she wasn't doing what I was telling her, not because I made her not, or because I recommended she didn't.
And what I'm trying to reconcile with that post is that when we look at her meter from around that time, the blood sugars, they look pretty ugly in the meter. They don't look very healthy.
But you say ugly again. Between 200 and 300? A couple up a little above 300. Not ugly, not 500. Ugly to me is 400 or 500.
300 is pretty high for any diabetic. From where we're looking at and where we're talking about, 300 would be considered pretty high. I think by anybody looking at a diabetic, that would be a pretty high hypoglycemic event.
Right?
Asymptomatic. Again, she did okay. She felt okay. They've helped me. I will never be anybody's power of attorney again. I will never help anybody ever again.
I certainly can imagine this. I get where you're coming from that perspective here with this experience, and that's where we're having the biggest struggle is when the autopsy is done and we look at that and we see that there's the cause of death is likely to be determined to be diabetic ketoacidosis.
Contributing was diabetes, heart disease, and COVID.
Fair.
What happened is she started to go downhill after our wedding. She did, again, when I say this,
how long ago that wedding was?
The wedding was on the 18th. She made it through wedding Christmas. Even my family set up at Christmas. She wasn't, she just dumped. She was different than 6 months ago. They see her, well, yeah, things change in 6 months. Come around a lot more often. That's a whole other conversation with this freaking case. Just like I didn't mention, Sam, Did you call? Did you try to get a hold of her son, Mike?
I tried to get hold of your mom.
Come help. Grandma's not feeling well. We need help. We need you. Lori was not feeling well, and her son Mike told my sister he couldn't financially swing it to come up and help.
Sure.
No, your mom is sick and dying. Allison told them that. Your daughter is sick and dying. So.
I just want to say, according to the family, none of this was true. According to the family, Kandise actually kept them away. They tried to come and help. They tried to come and visit, but Kandise was actually more like, I've got this. I'll do it. I'm the one doing everything. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. So just keep that in mind. I don't want to let her talk smack on the family and make them look like they did not care. That is not what has come out since this went to trial.
Well, and I guess what I'm saying is, and where we're trying to look at this is, there seems to be a contradiction in our mind to that high blood sugar number that you're indicating is normal for her and what the medical establishment.
The 500 or the 300?
Both.
The 500, I'm not. That's high. I never said it wasn't. It's high. That's why we did the insulin when they were there. It's high. But again,
240.
See, the thing is, in order for her to get to 500, she first would have had to get to 300, then 400. You know, so like their thoughts are, well, either you're not checking her too often, right? And also, like they keep pointing out, 200 to 300 is high. 200 to 300 is high. And so, like, she's sitting here the whole time acting like that is not high. That's normal for this woman. But they're like, well, according to the doctors we've been speaking to since we started investigating, like they're even saying she's high. And she was above 300 for most of the last month. So with her being above 300 for like a month now, as they're saying, based on like the machine that they were looking at that she claims doesn't work, right? And all of that, you know, all of her logs, as they say, like obviously she was ill and probably should have been taken to the hospital a long time ago, or she should have let the paramedics take her in. And like they had come about 6 times in the last week before poor woman was found dead in her home. You know? Worst time Facebook post ever. Yeah. Right? Are the cops letting her talk her way into prison? Pretty much. Also, I know here that prescription records can be obtained by the authorities. Surely they can check out when it was filled last. Yeah. Right? Exactly. Her time would have been spent on the MLM, Zoom calls all day, every day, and being down the target aisles finding new recruits. Right?
It was about normal, though.
So 200 to 300 and 313, 320, like that. But and again, that's what her insulin that the doctors were prescribing kept her at. So why is that my fault?
Did the doctor prescribe a correction dose after a period of time for her?
Negative, because that appointment never happened. Thank you very much.
So
Why? You asked Marshfield Clinic.
She had been on insulin for what amount of time prior to her death?
She's been on insulin for years.
Okay.
But usually we have an appointment with them every 6 months or every whatever it is.
But I would imagine at the last appointment they probably prescribed a correction dose for her if she was
They prescribed the doses that we were giving her.
Because I'm assuming there was
for a diabetic. This is funny because we were due for a diabetic appointment. I want to say the week after she passed, like we were due, and that's where we regained. Like we go to the doctor, we say this.
It's amazing how they were due for all of these things, like filling up her medication and this appointment, like right after she passed away, isn't it?
This is what we've been doing. This is like here you go. Here's all the stuff. Let's look at it. And at that point in time, yes, sir, I agree. They probably would have changed something. But that ain't my job to do that.
Well, what I'm asking is she must have had a correction dose of some kind in place because you had to decide how much insulin to take when she was at 500, right?
No, I gave her the same amount that she would get if it would be 5 in the morning or her nighttime one.
And that might have been part of the mistake as well, right? Also, they're kind of like, why didn't you take her to the hospital when she was at 500? That would be a good time. And like she keeps saying, oh, well, she didn't want help. She had a DNR. That's not the same thing, you know?
So I'm confused. How many shots a day was she taking?
morning and night.
So she would take a fast-acting dose
No,
in
no,
the
no,
morning?
no, long acting, because it's shit insulin. It's cheap insulin. It really only lasts 6 to 8 hours, but they say 12, so she'd take it in the morning, which her morning was between 11 and 12 o'clock when she rolled out of bed, and then she'd take it again in the evening, supper, dinner time.
The long-acting. And what I'm talking about is the short-acting. There was probably a correction dose for her for the short-acting insulin.
It was either 4 or 6. She'd take it in the morning and take it at night. But again, that
For the
may-
long-acting?
No, 4 or 6 units of the short acting.
Okay. So she took the long and short-acting at the same time in
Correct.
the morning and the same time
Correct.
at night?
Which wasn't supposed to be the case. She was supposed to take the metformin before dinner, and she was supposed to take they had all these, but good luck and God bless, buddy. She's 81. You're lucky we're getting it in twice a day, okay?
Wow.
She's doing fine.
Okay.
Tell her a million times she ain't gonna do it the right way.
She has dementia. Did they find that in the autopsy report?
Mhm.
Nothing, huh?
Well, we talked about that previously, and you said that it wasn't dementia, but it
Well-
was early onset due to age.
Early on, yeah, whatever. Well, they haven't checked her brain. When's the last MRI they did? So they can't say what she's actively has right at this second.
Well, I mean,
She was forgetful. Okay, let's put it that way.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Whatever it's recalls, it doesn't matter. Forgetful. 80-year-old forgetful.
Right.
And again, it's like, hey, but it was your job to remind her and to ensure. You know what I mean? Like when a family member has dementia or Alzheimer's, for example, and you're the caregiver, you don't just go, oh, well, if they forget to take their medication, that's because they have Alzheimer's. Like, that's stupid. Do you understand? That's really, really stupid. Like you're the caregiver. It's your job to ensure that she takes the medication, the proper amount, at the proper dosages, especially if you're a registered nurse. She was doing fine. She's dead. I know. And as they keep pointing out, and her sugar levels were skyrocket high for the last month of her life. So to them, they're like, you had a month where you could have fixed this from happening. You could have stopped this because you could have gotten her the help that she needed to bring her levels down. But then you got Kandise here that's like, well, they were supposed to be at like 320 anyway. It's like, no, they're not.
But I think you can level with us, and as far as the concern with why we're here is because this Facebook post is really what started.
I get it, bud.
And to be honest with you, I mean,
I'll never advertise. I will never,
to be honest with you, that
To be fair, I could not find any social media for this girl at all anymore. So she deleted everything after this.
So in Graham's log, she actually put in there when she started the supplement.
Okay.
And actually, I mean, it totally correlates with your post. So that adds another level of like, why has the supplement never come up when we talked several times prior to? And I guess have you been selling to other people also?
Yeah, how do you think I make a living? Because this is my nursing career too. So, yeah,
Were you selling to Compassus patients?
I'm selling to my customers. And it doesn't matter.
So Compassus was the health organization she was working for that does the home health care. She was a nurse for them. Like I said, she was going to people's homes and taking care of them there. She was basically supposed to help them take their medications. So, you know.
Who I'm selling to. They're vitamins, they're voluntarily, there's nothing I'm claiming that it cures or doesn't cure or doesn't, like I'm smart. I'm not here to say you have to take these, they replace anything, no, that's not me, I'm not a doctor.
But then I guess so, again, why Compassus comes into this is because Compassus is claiming that there were patients that you had that were also on QCore that were not taking their medications.
Yeah, you know why? Because they didn't fill their pill boxes for them. It had nothing to do with my QCore. And the state will find that out. The reason Melvin had most of his a fair amount of his meds missing.
Melvin was a patient that she looked after for this company. And I'm assuming that that's probably one of the families that the investigator spoke to find out how she cares for all of her patients, not just her grandma, right? They would have done a very thorough investigation into how she cares for patients as a nurse, as well as how she cared for her grandma before this interrogation.
Is because they didn't fill his pill box. You want his son's phone number, you can call and talk to him too. It wasn't my QCore. It wasn't me telling them he had to go off of it. It wasn't me doing anything remotely close to that. But just promoting a good supplement, continue to follow your care of your doctor. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with their lack of care for their patients. and not filling their pill boxes, not refilling meds. So then the next nurse that came in just put in whatever was in the box for them, and oh well, the Plavix happened to slip up. Oh, well, we didn't even know about the Plavix because there wasn't a pill bottle. That's more what the case was. You want Melvin? You can go and talk to him.
Unfortunately,
It's like, okay, but the only problem is with you. Like, if that was the case, I'm sure that there would be lots of patients doing lots of complaints about lots of different things, especially needing their medication refilled. You know what I mean? Hey, Joe, good to see you. It's just funny because she seems to be putting the blame off of everyone except for herself. Oh, and except for the MLM, right?
like I said, this has been a 3-month-long investigation.
Well, I got more people for you, buddy.
But I guess
mean,
the
I
issue
get what
is
you're
that,
saying. I get
again,
it.
it's hard. The reason why we're doing this is because it gives me insight. Is I have compasses saying, well, something's not right here. I have family saying, well, this is not right. And then we find grandma's log that's basically confirming the Facebook post of, I started these supplements, and then that's really when it started going downhill. So either it's just a completely ironic correlation, or there's something of substance in which we need to investigate, right?
Investigate away, buddy.
So
Keep investigating.
I'm going to be, like I said, I've been frank this whole time, and I guess my concern is that...
She always talks like a Canadian. Sure, bud. Sure, bud. Just keep investigating, bud, and then we'll have a Tim's and we'll have a little talk about it. All right, toodaloo.
Legal products is in QCore, so I'd like to know if that's the situation.
Well, I mean, we're not really questioning whether QCore is illegal or not. The main concern here is that are we diverting from doctor's orders and diverting from, I guess, what should be done?
I'm about done.
Okay. If you want to, that's...
Go ahead, keep going. I'm done talking. You keep talking.
Okay. So the concern here is that we have all these different kind of puzzle pieces that really developed a pattern of a lack of following doctor's orders. And so, I've talked to...
A lack of... Oh, sorry.
I've talked to quite a few people in this case already. Like I said, I've been working on it ever since. And that pattern has been seen throughout. And it really seems like, just from my perception, it seems like you're kind of taking the role of being that easy transition, being the caretaker to get them peacefully to heaven. And I could be way off, but it just seems like we may not be following doctor's orders because we feel that's our place to do that.
Not the case at all. The last piece of morning, Grandma was there. She had plans to stay in the house in the spring. She had plans.
Seem kind of annoyed by her, though. I'm just saying.
I just seen that she wasn't doing well, and that's why I'm trying to get hospice involved so they could do their job, but they didn't show.
Why don't we just take a step back from that here? Can you just educate me on what your conversation with your grandmother about QCore was? Because it seems like what you're saying is that the conversation you had with her is misrepresented by what's being read into this post here. What did you and your grandmother talk about with QCore? What was the thought there?
It helps nutrition inside the body. It helps vitamin. It helps your...
Yeah. I think nutrition is extremely important,
Yeah.
so you're preaching the
Yeah,
choir on
I mean,
that. Yeah.
But
So what
that
was
didn't... Just because she was agreeable to start that, I didn't force it on her. She didn't, wasn't any financial gain or loss of her, it wasn't any, it was just...
Did you guys have a conversation about how she was taking less insulin and still doing just fine?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that conversation go? Or walk me
She
through
said, Grandma, you're forgetting, your QCore's on board, your insulin, you're forgetting to take it, you're forgetting to take your sugars, I'm confused why the less insulin you're taking, and again, you say not okay, but the better she's feeling, she looks good, she feels good, and she agreed.
I think that what she really said is, it's because of the QCore, Grandma. It's because of the Q sciences that you're feeling better with less insulin. But of course, she's not going to tell the investigators that. So she's being very, very careful of how she words this conversation. But I think we all know what really went on there.
So the conversation you were having with her as kind of her caretaker is, Grandma, you're taking QCore now, you're taking less insulin, and you look great, your health looks great, is kind of what you're telling me. You're looking at her physically, and she looks great.
No. Because never once did I tell her it was okay to take less. No, that was...
Well, that's what I'm asking. I want to make sure I understand.
No, did I not ever...
But if you told her that she's doing well and she looks great, that's kind of implying, see, you don't really need your insulin. You know what I mean? If you're saying to your grandma, look, Grandma, you're taking the QCore from Q Sciences, and you're not taking your insulin as prescribed, but you look great, like that's implying it's because of the QCore. You can say all you want that you didn't directly come out and say it and blah, 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 but it's definitely alluded to. You know what I mean? And I don't know how well she looked either. Like, we don't have any proof that she looked well because, again, the medical proof is the opposite. It's showing high sugar levels that would not make her look well.
Never did I say you need to take less insulin because you're taking QCore.
That's not what I think you said, no.
It was more of a, look at how well you're doing.
I'm hearing you say to her, I'm surprised.
I was.
Insulin, you look great.
I was, because usually less insulin you take, you're dealing with 500 blood sugars on a regular basis, and hers didn't, 100 fluctuate a little bit here or there, but.
So you said that she voluntarily went on QCore because you guys had that conversation, which is fine. I'm assuming she paid for that?
No, I paid for it for her because she doesn't have a lot of money.
Okay. I'm assuming that, was it out of your pocket, or was it through HSA, or how was that paid for? How was that?
No, it was paid for out of pocket.
And it's not given through QCore themselves, I believe it's Q Sciences, right?
No,
okay.
I paid for it.
Yep, Q Sciences.
So this is
like her meals, she
paid for
got we paid for a lot. Just to keep her healthy and going. And her mom's meals were $100 a week. But at least they're carb counted and, diet. Because otherwise she'd sit and eat 2 bonbons, no, Grandma, no, we have to have a couple of nutritious meals. And then...
I'd give her a Snickers bar. I'm not going to say, hey.
No, at 80 years old.
You want a Snickers bar? Here's a small one, not...
Right. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we're not necessarily concerned with, what she was eating or how she was eating it, but the main overall concern, what we're getting at here, is that her diabetes was completely out of whack. Completely out of whack.
Yeah, and the doctor would have fixed it if we made it to that point.
Right. And so the question that I have that I still haven't answered for myself is that if she would have received medical care, we'd probably have a different outcome. Do you see what we're getting at? And
no, I don't agree with you. I don't understand, but I hear you.
And that's why we're here.
If she went to the hospital where she didn't want to go.
Yep. And she'd have died in the waiting room, or died in the hospital by herself, or whatever it may have been. And maybe if hospice would have been there, they could have made this decision and helped to...
Do you think, though, just out of curiosity's sake, as far as if she went to the ER, or if she seen her primary care earlier?
Can I call you next time to get her there?
Well, ambulance was there 6 times in 6 days.
Okay.
I can see you disagree with me, but obviously that's the concern here is that where does that level of care?
You're right. You figure it out. You figure it out. I'm giving you everything I can give you. I've been open and honest with you from the get-go.
Well, I know the things we're saying are upsetting. I know that these things are upsetting to hear, but I feel like we have to discuss those things with you, right? Because we would not be doing our job to be upfront with you if we just hid a bunch of things from you. So,
no, I don't want
in a blunt conversation, I know it's uncomfortable, right? And we get that. But
because I already miss Grandma enough, and I love her, and...
Yeah.
Because you just didn't love her enough to let her go with the ambulance the 6 times that they showed up and tried to take her to the hospital. And you told them, no, she's fine, she's good, we'll just stay here, right?
The hard part about this...
Where the was everybody else while I was trying to help her do this? Nobody. None of her family.
Her kids never.
Nobody.
Never came to the house.
My cousins that called you, where the have they been?
Nobody.
Nobody. Her own son messaged her before her mom's funeral and said to her, if you bring up anything about the past, I will have you arrested and put in jail. Okay? This is the stuff I dealt with, this dysfunctional family.
I will openly say, I got immersed in that immediately. It was very clear that there are issues there. I'm not denying that one bit. But obviously,
we tried to call and get their help at the end, and still, you can't financially swing it when your mom is dying. Rot in hell. Okay? What is wrong with you? I don't care.
You make $160,000 a year, you drive a brand new BMW, you can't financially swing driving this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the kids couldn't financially talk, or couldn't, they couldn't call her, they decided to disown her after Grandpa's death. But yet they'll stick their nose in where it doesn't belong, essentially.
I will say though too, I hear you, I totally
But she's mad because they're the ones that called the police and said, yeah, something's really weird about this death. Can you please look into it again? She's trying to have the body cremated within 24 hours, really pushing for it. It's kind of bizarre. Also, they were already suspicious because, like I said, whenever they did try to come visit, they were turned away. All right, they were shut out. So she's kind of lying here. And when the investigators go and talk to them, they basically tell them that.
Totally agree. But I will say that there are non-family members, people that have some association with it, but they're not family members that share the same concerns.
Interesting. Okay.
And again, the whole reason for starting that is that, yes, family did come forward, but we had other people that came
And
forward.
again, at this point, I don't care who. I don't. It just, it's not even about that.
The paramedics, the EMS teams have also come forward, obviously, and they were like, we tried to get this woman to the hospital several times, and we're told no by the granddaughter. That's why the police asked her straight up if she stopped them.
I just want to, I want, as if losing grandma wasn't hard enough, this has caused so much.
I believe it.
Well, I think, there probably is that extra pressure because people look at you as a nurse, right? When it comes to caring for grandma, there's that extra pressure, it seems like, that's coming out, that people are leaning on you to be the voice of medical.
But I'm not being nursed 24/7. And when I don't feel good and I'm begging for help from hospice because I can recognize when I need help and I don't get it, or I reach out to family to say, come, please help overlook grandma because I'm not feeling well and nobody comes, then what? What?
So, obviously in these types of investigations, they go, it's a wide variety, right? We are not saying that you are, out there, intentionally hurting people or causing harm to families or anything like that. And we get those investigations. To be honest with you, I have no problem saying that happened. In this case, I understand the predicament that you're in. And I think you tried doing the best you can with what you have. And I realized that you weren't feeling good during that time. But where we really still question is if she would have received medical care to even regulate her insulin levels.
Mike called Allison, put her in a nursing home. Allison tried all day to get a hold of a nursing home.
I think you are very nice.
That was the other thing, yeah. Or get more caregivers. Allison tried. Call my sister back. Call her back.
So when I initially talked to Allison, she clearly did not want to have much conversation with me and told me to reference you because you had all the information.
But she will talk to you. She would be more, because she was there.
She was there
when Grandma died.
I was at home and for her side.
She can tell you what she did with hospice and how. I can tell you what I did before that. She can tell you what she did there.
The hard part too is when you say that's an interesting family dynamic, I totally agree with you. I mean, I still struggle with the fact that the fact that in our first interview you said that your mom called you and said it was along the lines of you killed grandma.
No.
And so when we were in that first interview, I was like, what? It was really hard for me to understand where that was coming from.
Wow,
I talked to your
right?
mom, and it was again really short with me. Clearly did not want to have a conversation with me, and was like, well, yeah, and that was pretty much it. That was the extent of the conversation. I talked to Allison, and
See what I
Allison was
mean? I get told, good luck, God
talked
bless.
to Kandise, and so it's hard because we have all these different puzzle pieces together, and clearly there are some family dynamic issues there. And so when you say nobody was willing to step up and help, I totally believe that. The concern here is that when you're the power of attorney, there are certain obligations that you have, and one of them is medical care.
Yep.
So.
But I cannot force her, and I will not. Throw me in the handcuffs right now, buddy. Go for it. She doesn't want to go. I'm not forcing her. I don't give a her blood sugar's a billion. That was her right as a patient. You want to get down to patient rights?
It sounded like there was a conversation with that med crew that day
Yep,
about
and I had
you did not
them.
want her to go there because you felt the waiting room would be too
That is not what I said. I asked them how the waiting room was, how quickly they were getting care, what kind of, like, them questions. So
And what was their answer that day?
we brought 2 patients in from the ambulance to the waiting room because there's no beds.
Okay.
You're not bringing my 81-year-old grandma to the waiting room when her blood sugars aren't doing well.
And what did your grandma say to that? So she was there for that conversation?
Yeah, and I don't want to go.
So she said she didn't.
Sam, remind that. Again, I was on the
That's
floor
what she said.
right
She
before
said,
this
"I don't wanna
conversation,
go."
so forgive me.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'll stay here.
I'm asking you to
I'll go to a
clarify
nursing
because I
home.
wasn't there.
I'll go to a nursing home. Well, you can't go to a nursing home at 11 o'clock at night. That ain't how it works. You gotta.
It's funny to me, Joe says she probably didn't realize how high the blood sugar was. It's funny to me because they talk about how she has dementia or early onset bad memory from old age, as she corrected them. And so, she wasn't with it enough to remember to take her medication. And it's her fault that her insulin levels were all messed up. But then she was apparently with it enough to make a decision as to whether or not she would go to the hospital over this. You know what I mean? That's bizarre. If she was not able to take her medication on time, then in my mind, if I was her caregiver, I would have been like, she is not mentally stable enough to make the decision about whether or not she gets medical care. I am making you go to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like grandma, you can't even remember to take your insulin on time. And because of that now, look at your blood sugar's so high. We got to take you in. So I'm sorry you don't want to go, grandma, but we're going. That's how that should have gone. And even the hospital would say, if she's not really with it, then she can't really make these decisions right now. And it would have been up to the power of attorney. And that's where Kandise fucks up. Because like I said, Kandise should have said, yes, we're going into the hospital, grandma. The very first time the paramedics came. Definitely by the second or third time. They were there 6 times. That's a lot of times. Why are we calling them? Like, we're just calling them to come and stabilize grandma and then send them home without grandma? That's bizarre, right? Like, there's a lot going on here that obviously the cops are like, well, this is weird. And then also the family is kind of like, I think she would have wanted to have lived for longer. So I don't think she would have denied the care. And apparently the EMS has also stated that it was more the granddaughter that was denying it. She seemed to be the one that was pushing. Right? Do the states have any social services to check up on her? They do. They do. And that's the thing, is that they also would have home health care programs that she could have. She talks about she wanted to get hospice involved. Well, maybe you should have done that months ago. Like, there's just a lot that went on here that she didn't do that you would have expected her to do, especially as a registered nurse. Like, she knew better, Someone like you or I who maybe didn't have that education and experience and a career in that, maybe we wouldn't know exactly what to do in these situations. She's expected to know. And I'm sure the family felt maybe better with her being the one caring for grandma, thinking that she was a nurse, right? Because they're not going to think that her MLM is going to make her replace her meds with supplements.
So far. To get her in a nursing home, that's another story.
Yeah, there is no nursing home.
You
You try to call for caregivers, there's none of them either.
Oh, I know this industry caring for old people right now is.
Yeah, you know why? Because the good ones out there like me are getting bullshit like this, and we're done helping people. Done.
It is
Done. Last year I was an amazing person.
Last year
And then the next
I was an amazing person.
minute I'm getting fired because I'm not vaccinated. Like, there's a whole other degree of anger with my nurse, the whole nursing component. Like, I'm seriously wanting to get out of it and go into like criminal justice nursing or something, on the point of, I don't want to help people.
Please don't.
I don't even want to try to be, like, I'm done being a good Samaritan because this is...
I mean, I can tell you though, it's not your job. Like, you don't need to take care of all these other people. I know you want to.
Well, what other people?
Well.
Uh-oh. Right. All I know is if the sugar numbers are high, get help. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, according to her. She claims she was the main carer. And the family is like, well, we tried to help, but she wouldn't really let us. And then I'm sure, like I said, part of them was also kind of like, well, maybe it's because she's the nurse of the family. So she wants to handle it. Instead of being like, oh, she's trying to kill grandma with her supplements, because like, why would the family think that? It wasn't until after grandma passed away and the family was like, we went looking on her Facebook and she's trying to get grandma cremated within 24 hours that they were like, can we please relook into this? Because at first they were just kind of like, this is a weird situation. How come the paramedics were here 6 times? Like, that was all that was weird about it at first. Until family members called. And then, of course, they talked to those EMS workers and they were like, well, this is what happened. She kept turning us away. But you're in an MLM where you believe you're helping people. The math isn't mathing, right? I know.
I mean, like,
I didn't have to take care of her. Respectfully, sir, you just got done telling me I was her power of attorney. And even before I was the activated power of attorney, I took care of her for 3.5 fucking years.
I'm talking about
See?
the passes patients.
Oh,
See, so now she's back to being the main caregiver. She goes back and forth. I was the main caregiver. It was all on me. I was the power of attorney. I'm the one doing all this. I'm responsible for it. But it's not my fault that she didn't take her meds. She was responsible for that. The family was responsible. They should have helped. She goes back and forth with it.
yeah, no, I'm done. I know.
That I would strongly advise.
Oh, I have. Yep. I'm not. That's there. Yep.
I mean, grandma's a different story.
No.
Power attorneys
I'm just
worked out
saying.
prior to it.
I'm just saying in general. Like, the vaccine thing was the start of it. The COVID bullshit. I've had fucking enough of that. I'm just. Midlife change career. Go be a jury judge. Go be a paramedic. Go be, I don't know, pre-care, pre-hospital care. I don't know. A nutritionist, a freaking bodybuilder, something. I don't know. But I feel like I have $35,000 in student loans. I wanted nothing more than to be a nurse, and now I'm disgusted to say I work in such a system that is like it is right now. That's a whole other conversation. Go for it.
So, I think we're kind of at a point of, this is, I still have some work to do, as far as going through different paperwork and things like that. I wanted to touch base with you because I know you've had a lot of questions and have been wondering what I've been doing, why I've been doing it.
Yes, but you may know in your little notebook that I've called you voluntarily with plenty of information. I continue to voluntarily give you information because I have nothing to hide. I've been honest with you from the get-go. I've called you with information. The other bit of information you may want to mark out in your little notebook is that, no, I'm not going to say. No, go ahead. No, keep going.
So, at this point in time,
Jesus
I'm
Christ,
still continuing going through the paperwork and
Now, will you take at least names of people that you can call that will tell you how I took care of grandma and what they seen and what they just like.
I think you'd be surprised on the amount of people I've talked to that are involved in this case that were Compasses patients, that were family of Compasses patients. So, like I said, I've been at this solely this case for
And I
the past 3
hope
months.
and I pray that them patients and people, like I've taken good care of patients and that I've tried to keep my name up and take really good care of people.
Well, they already said that you were promoting your QCore, Q Sciences products to your patients. So I don't know about that, Candace. I don't know. Don't be any of that. You already think you're a health coach running your own biz. It's true. It is.
Apparently not good enough. I don't know.
Yeah, you're the victim here, Candace. Lord.
No, it's not good enough because I cared for everyone. I always have in my whole nursing career. I care for my patients.
It's like, yeah, that's what a nurse does. Very, very good.
Like, the patient, like, they're my family, you know, like his grandma or his, you know, I mean, like, I care. I do. I'm a good nurse. I know, like.
I think something you should understand is when we investigate something like this, we have to look at the care of this individual we see.
Sure, yeah, I get it.
It's not uncommon for someone to say, talk to these folks, they're going to tell you about all these really good things they did, which is true.
With grandma, you missed that part.
Yeah, and that can be the case,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And we've got to focus in and see with this patient how things went. And if there's people that witness those things, yeah, and that's what Detective Stetzer's doing. He's following up on that. I think where you're going to find that, for our investigation, just putting it out there for you, where there seems to be a little bit of friction here is your involvement with the care and with the diabetes care, and where the levels that you're saying she functioned best at, and then the diagnosis, possibly of the DKA.
Whether I think she functions best at that or not, and I'm going to interrupt you right here, is I gave her the insulin the doctors told me to give her. And we had a follow-up appointment coming up in a week.
So do you have a copy of what they asked you to give her, or a list from them?
Ask Marshfield Clinic. I could get it off Marshfield Clinic.
Because if that's the case, right? If you're just doing what the doctor is saying, I think that's important for us to know. Do you have a way that you could forward to Detective Stetzer? You said you had nothing to hide, which is great. Can you forward him that?
Do not sit here and look me in the eye and tell me you didn't access Marshfield Clinic records.
I'm asking you.
I'm the one doing this.
I did.
Okay, sorry. Do not sit here and tell me.
This is my investigation.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so you have that information, correct?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously that's another component is we compare what doctors prescribed to her toxicology.
Sure.
And toxicology was done. And in fact, we did another test because the first test didn't identify medications that she was on.
Okay.
So we did another test, and again, there was the area of concern of they're clearly not the levels they were supposed to be.
Yep.
And so that even more so questions why is there this huge lapse? Why the medications that were supposed to be in your system?
Ask Compassus. Because if they would have came to help differentiate and get her to take these pills, whether it be crushing them, putting them in applesauce, putting again, this was not me. I can't.
Take her pills,
Yeah, I can't. I'm not forcing them down her
on the
throat.
couch or
Yep.
on the couch.
In fact, when I cleaned out her house, I wanted to call you and have you come over because you could have seen the 500 different pills I found laying in her bed, laying in the behind the couch, in her couch cushion, over here, over there. I think a lot of them, some went in, some didn't, some, but she had them in her pill case to take.
Craziness, this girl.
So like I said, I am not done at this point. As you can see, I have a mess of paperwork I have to go through, and this is only half of it. Most of it's digital, so I can't tell you when everything's going to be wrapped up. These were our concerns. And I know that you wanted some answers, and so that's why I figured we'd do this today. It's this is where we're at and what we're looking into. I don't know if this answers all your questions that you had for me. So as far as from this point, I can't really give you a lot of answers as far as what's going to become. I don't know if you saw or not, but we were investigating on the search warrant itself. So we're investigating neglect. That's the investigation that we've been conducting. Okay. And at this point, like I said, I can't say whether we're going to get to that or not, because I still have more work to do on it, but that's what we've been investigating.
I knew that, because you told me this.
Yep.
And I promised you.
It's one of those things where I feel like you have the right to know and why we're doing this. And
Yes, the footage is just slightly sped up. Not much, but just a teeny bit. It's at 1.25.
And why we're talking to different people and why we're talking to family and all this kind of stuff. So, and again, to clarify, there's been no private investigator, anything like that. That was all me calling. And obviously, like I said.
And again, I also have a domestic abuse situation going on with my ex-husband that freaking shit out of me.
I'm aware.
So I'm hyper nervous about.
So I'm aware of everything going on.
Breakdown, dude. I thank God for counselors in church. This Trinity's court crap, and then.
See, and this is part of the reason why they were wondering if maybe she wanted Grandma to go, because they were like, you got a lot on your plate, then you're also taking care of Grandma, and there's a lot going on.
Not having anybody until whatever.
So now that you know where we're coming from and what we're doing, do you have any questions for us as far as what?
I don't. I understand. Respect. I appreciate you taking the time to explain to me.
You charge your children with neglect. You charge your children with neglect.
What's children?
Grandmas.
Yeah, you want to talk about neglect, right? Anyways, whatever.
I've looked at, unfortunately, way too much in this case.
No, they weren't around, so that's better.
That's neglect.
No, it's not. It's better. Better if you just start around. You don't even try.
Do you want me to notify you when I am done, everything's wrapped up?
Yes, please, because I would like a copy of that investigation. Okay. I'm not, and here's what the counselor said. It's not because I need it, because I don't know that that's necessarily going to help my mental health, because but it needs to be in an envelope. So
someday down the road, if you ever want to.
I need to have, the documentation.
Someday down the road, if she wants to look into it.
No, that you.
Yeah, she does. She's scared, but I think she thinks that she's going to get away with it.
You guys did everything because I also want my name cleared just as much as your job is. I want you to prove that. Please do whatever you have to do to show.
So, I mean, just so we're understanding here, is that, you know, we really have kind of two avenues that I foresee, or three, I guess. One of them is there is no substance that can't justify a crime. And the reports are done, all the medical reports are filed in that report, and you can request a copy of that to see what we did and why we did it.
No, I don't.
The second one is a referral, which essentially is an arrest that goes to the DA's office and they review, because they get to make charging decisions as far as whether or not they agree or disagree. And then the last one is physical custody. Not doing that, obviously, you've been voluntary, you gave me information throughout this whole time, so
Not yet, anyway.
that's not gonna happen. I can't say that based off of the end result and getting everything compiled, that the district attorney, either way they're gonna see the case, because it's death, but it's a matter of whether or not there's gonna be criminal charges attached to that or not. I can't say whether that's the case or not, because I'm not done, but that is an option. So those are the avenues that we're looking at. And again, I can't say for sure what those are gonna be, what avenue it is going to be, but that is what we're facing right now. Okay.
Appreciate your honesty.
I know this is difficult. I know this is hard. I know this is something that nobody ever wants to go through.
Do you see my criminal record? I don't have one.
To be honest with you,
Because I respect
Doesn't matter.
and I do, and I try to be right, and I try to follow Jesus, and I try. I respect you guys. Like, never once have I told you to off. There's a few times I want to do, but I don't, because I respect you and what you do. I don't have to like it, but that's your job.
right?
So,
Well, you know, again, our job is solely to investigate.
She actually did tell them to fuck off once earlier. I'm just saying, it's in this clip.
Whether a crime was committed or not. And so, you know, I don't have anything against you. I'm not looking at you personally or like evaluating your personality or anything like that. But what I really have to focus on is whether or not a crime was committed according to state
well,
statutes.
here's the thing. If grandma not taking her insulin like she's supposed to take, grandma not taking her pills like she's not supposed to take is a crime, you got something on your hands, my friend. Because I told her to do what she was supposed to do, and what she did with that. I was not there all the time.
All right, well, you have my number.
I gotta be done.
That maybe a woman recall.
Thank you. If you have any more questions, give me a call. I'm happy to answer them.
Somebody can fall out. If you didn't, I found it, I'll call you.
So yeah, that was the interrogation. Also linked in the description down below is actually an audio of the entire trial. If you are so interested and you would like to actually hear the entire trial, I've listened to it. Please do go and check out the description down below. I have linked it there. But I just want to take a moment because you're probably wondering what the hell is QCore and what is Q Sciences. And I did an article on theheck.com about this case, but I won't bore you with the whole thing, but I do want to read to you this part, obviously. And QCore is a daily supplement bundle marketed by Q Sciences as a foundational wellness system. It typically includes a multivitamin, gut health capsules, and anti-inflammatory or stress support supplements. Like most MLM wellness products, QCore is not approved to treat or manage medical conditions, yet distributors frequently make medical-adjacent claims in their marketing. Q Sciences presents itself as a wellness and lifestyle company, but its business model is built on the classic multi-level marketing structure. Instead of relying on traditional retail, the company recruits distributors who are expected to purchase products, promote them online, and recruit others beneath them, maybe even grandma. Income is tied not only to personal sales, but to the size and productivity of the downline, creating a system where recruitment is often more profitable than product sales. Q Sciences relies heavily on emotional testimonials, before and after stories, and personal health claims. Distributors are encouraged to frame supplements as transformative, often using language that blurs the line between marketing and medical advice. This is why Kandise's Facebook posts fit the MLM pattern so precisely. She wasn't just sharing a personal update, she was selling a worldview. These narratives, that products such as QCore have life-changing results, are not created by medical professionals or backed by clinical evidence. They are generated by distributors who are financially incentivized to present the products as transformative. This creates an environment where exaggerated claims, medical adjacent language, and natural healing rhetoric becomes normalized. Distributors are encouraged to frame themselves as wellness guides, even when they lack the training to do so. Despite the controversy surrounding its products and role QCore played in this case, Q Sciences is still an active MLM company. In fact, the company recently underwent a major ownership shift. Industry reporting shows that Q Sciences was purchased by Awakened founder Rodney James, and Awakened's products are now being sold through Q Sciences platform. The company continues to market QCore as a flagship wellness product. This means the same testimonial-driven marketing system that influenced Kandise's decisions is still active today, in February of 2026. The same supplement bundle she advertised is still being sold. The same ideological framework, distrust of medicine, glorification of natural healing, and reliance on personal testimonials continues to shape the company's culture. Here it is right here. Q Sciences, their website, also linked down below. They are very, very active, still going strong, and look at that. There is the QCore bundle right there that they are still selling. As you can see, they do the more products we think you'll love. Wonderful, wonderful company. Gotta love it. And this is the QCore bundle. Look, it's usually $214, but it's on sale for $134.10. Awesome, right? If you subscribe, you save 10%. So it says the QCore bundle offers complete system protection, efficient absorption, and precise nutrient delivery from head to toe. This 4-product suite covers essential vitamins and minerals, gut health, and joint and inflammation support. QMax Premium is a daily micronutrient complex that delivers maximum absorption and essential nutritional support for body and brain health. Q Digest has 11 natural enzymes designed to speed and ease the digestion of everything in your healthy diet. Better digestion helps you to boost nutrient absorption, leave the bloat behind, and enjoy your favorite foods again. Oh, yay! Gotta love that. Oh, I do like the purple. Pity they are besmirching an innocent color. Right? How very dare they? I agree. Q-Align is designed to support a healthy body response to chronic inflammation, supporting mobility and helping reduce inflammation-associated aches and pains. Q-Biotics Total is a soil-source spore probiotic, Jesus Christ, and prebiotic herbal blend that provides a gentle detox and helps normalize digestive issues. Yeah, I'm sure Grandma needed all that, Kandise. Suggested use for most adults, take 2Q Max Premium, 2Q Align, and 1Q Digest in the morning, with another 2Q Max Premium, 2Q Align, and 1Q Biotics Total in the evening. Individual needs may vary. Take with food and water. Ingredients in the QMax Premium and all of Digest vegetable cellulose. It's a lot of vegetable cellulose, rice flour. And then, of course, they have a 4.80 out of 5 stars in their reviews because it's all the Hun bots coming to review it. And I'm sure that you're wondering, well, where's the science? Where's the science? Well, you can't really get get the science. I mean, if you go to the wellness, it just shows you the products. If you go down to the bottom, I mean, you can click on the Q process, but it doesn't really. Will it be backed by the latest science? Does it utilize the latest science and the latest technology to truly be cutting edge? Will it make a difference? You know, like it's all just bullshit, hun speech. You know? They're like, this is our test. Will it be good? Is it backed by science? Yes, trust us, bro. That's pretty much it, you know? Sweet baby bell cheese, that's so many pills you'll be rattling when you walk, right? Don't get the max mixed up with the premium. I know. Yeah, it's just word salad. MLM science is trust me, bro science, right? Damn, Granny must have been confused by all those supplements, right? It's like, okay, so she's not remembering to take her insulin on time as prescribed. So let's also add in all of these supplements during the day. That would be an amazing idea. You know, it's just, it gets a little bit ridiculous. Oh, wait, and I also wanted to show you here, they have their affiliate program. So you get a 10% commission, and your commissions will be paid every Friday. The commissions from an order will be paid on the Friday after the 30-day holding period to allow for any exchanges or returns to take place. Like, they can't even pay for that. Anyway, this goes to show you, they're not doing the greatest, are they? But now let's talk about MLM wellness culture as a high control belief system. Recently, I wrote a whole article and did a whole video about high control belief systems. You know, belief systems being the cult. A lot of people think that you need a leader. This was about leaderless cults. So if you have not checked that out, go and check that out. Because it kind of goes along with that and my Boss Babe culture video that I also did. So check that out as well. But MLM wellness companies often promote a belief system that includes distrust of doctors, glorification of natural solutions, and the idea that pharmaceuticals are harmful. Distributors are encouraged to act as health coaches, even when they lack the training to do so. They are rewarded socially and financially for promoting supplements as superior to evidence-based treatment. The culture surrounding Q Sciences mirrors that of many wellness-focused MLMs. Distrust of conventional medicine, glorification of supplements, and the belief that natural solutions are superior to clinical treatment. This ideology is reinforced through team calls, private Facebook groups, and distributor training materials that emphasize mindset, belief, and personal transformation. This ideology can override medical training, you know, even if you're a nurse, objective data, and even the visible decline of a loved one. In the interrogation, Kandise repeatedly minimized her grandmother's dangerously high blood sugar levels, insisting they were normal for her. She reframed medical danger as stability, a hallmark of belief systems that prioritize ideology over evidence. Over time, this creates a high-control environment where members feel validated for rejecting medical advice and encouraged to view themselves as part of a healing movement. This is the context in which Kandise's Facebook post was created. It was not an isolated moment of poor judgment. It was part of a larger marketing culture that encourages distributors to present supplements as solutions to serious health issues, often blurring the line between wellness promotion and medical advice. We see a lot of illegal health claims in the anti-MLM sphere here. Understanding Q Sciences as an MLM is essential to understanding how a trained nurse could come to believe that a supplement bundle was a viable alternative to insulin, and why that belief had such devastating consequences. This case is not isolated. Across North America, similar tragedies have occurred when caregivers replace medical treatment with supplements, essential oils, detox regimes, prayer routines, or MLM wellness products. The supplement industry is largely unregulated, and MLM companies rely on distributors to make claims the company itself cannot legally publish. Vulnerable people, children, the elderly, the chronically ill become test subjects in someone else's belief system. So now let's get into a sentence that ignores the bigger problem at hand. A jury in Wausau, Wisconsin, found 38-year-old Kandise Sheahen guilty of neglect, causing the death of her grandmother, Alene Schrader, in May of 2025. When the case reached sentencing late that August, the outcome felt painfully small compared to the harm that had been done. Prosecutors argued that the choices leading to Alene's death warranted 6 years in prison. Yet the judge handed down just, get this, 9 months in jail and 6 years of probation. 9 months in jail, that's it, and 6 years of probation. For a preventable death caused by deliberate medical neglect, the punishment felt disconnected from the reality of what happened. And I want to take a moment here because I have a clip of her sentencing that I would like all of us to look at together right now.
Was convicted of negligently subjecting an individual at risk to abuse, causing death by failing to manage her grandmother's diabetes. News Channel 7's Bray Bilak has more details on Sheahen's day in court.
It took just over 2 hours for Judge Suzanne O'Neill to determine Kandise Sheahen's sentence for her role in her grandmother's death. 9 months in jail, 6 years probation. Convicted of negligence of an at-risk elderly person causing death, Judge O'Neill says Sheahen showed poor judgment.
While I certainly believe, again, that you cared about your grandmother, that you provided loving care for her for a significant period of time, you made some really serious mistakes toward the end of her life.
Kandise was the only family member that was able to step up to make sure her needs were being met.
We saw signs, we saw evidence, and while everyone around us knew that something about my grandma's death didn't feel right, many were afraid to speak up because Kandise was family.
Sheahen cannot be in charge of potentially vulnerable people's medical or health care without direct supervision. She's also not allowed to use social media to promote any products. Sheahen, a nurse, and her grandmother's healthcare power of attorney urged people to use a multivitamin QCore. Without the correct insulin, Sheahen's grandmother died of diabetic ketoacidosis.
And it did not appear from those comments that you were giving much thought, you were much concerned as to what advice you really were giving a person.
While in jail, Sheahen will have Huber privileges for things like work and childcare.
Your Honor, I fully accept that there must be consequences for my actions. I respectfully ask the court that these consequences allow me to...
She's insufferable.
Sheahen must report to the Marathon County Jail by September 10th.
So yeah.
And was convicted of...
So, what makes the outcome even harder to reconcile is that the larger system influencing those decisions face no accountability at all. Q Sciences, the MLM company behind the QCore supplement she promoted, continues to operate without interruption. The company has undergone ownership changes, expanded its product line, and still markets QCore as a foundational wellness system. The same testimonial-driven culture that shaped her beliefs remain intact, untouched, and, to this day, unexamined. The legal system treated this tragedy as the isolated actions of only one caregiver, rather than the predictable result of a belief system aggressively marketed through MLM wellness culture, something myself, Roberta Blevins, Always Marco, and several others have spent years speaking out about. Kandise was held responsible for her role, but the corporate structure that encourages distributors to distrust medicine, glorify natural healing, and make medical adjacent claims to sell supplements face no scrutiny. None. The sentencing punished the individual while ignoring the industry that helped create the conditions of her death, an industry that we all think should be shut down. Until MLM wellness companies are held accountable for the belief systems that they promote, cases like this one and cases like the last one that I covered in a video about a Herbalife murder will continue to be framed as personal failures instead of symptoms of a much larger, deeply harmful system. Alene Schrader's death was preventable. It happened because a caregiver, influenced by supplement marketing, MLM ideology, and anti-medical belief, chose this ideology over evidence. The interrogation video, the Facebook post, and the investigator's direct reference to Q Sciences all point to the same conclusion. MLM wellness culture played a significant role in this tragedy. This case should spark national conversation about regulating supplement claims, holding MLM companies accountable, protecting vulnerable adults from ideological harm, and educating the public about medical misinformation. Until we confront the systems that enable this kind of neglect, more families will face tragedies just like this one. Police Kandise is never allowed to act as a nurse or promote another MLM product again. And just in case you're wondering where I got the information about her family from, also in the description down below, there is episode 319 of Life After MLM by Roberta Blevins, in which she covered the death of Alene Schrader. It says, in this episode, we delve into the tragic story of Alene Schrader, who suffered fatal medical neglect at the hands of her granddaughter, Kandise Sheahen, a registered nurse involved in the MLM Q Sciences. Our conversation with Alene's grandson, John Schrader, and his wife, Francesca, explores the dangers of MLM products as healthcare, the risks associated with trusting unqualified individuals in financially motivated medical situations, and the subsequent legal proceedings following Nana's death from ketoacidosis. This story is the worst case scenario of everything we have learned this year about the monetized health and wellness space, and should be listened to with caution. So I have left both the Apple link and also the Spotify link in my description down below. So make sure that you check that out as well. Like I said, I have also linked down below the court case, and I have also linked down below the entire interrogation video. So do make sure that you go and you check all of that out if you do want to, watch everything over again for yourself. If you want to go listen to the whole court case, you want to go and hear from, Alene's family, which I think it's that would be a nice way to kind of end the day, after this. That's all linked down in the description below. Please go and show support to Roberta Blevins' episode there. Go and give it a like. Leave her a good review, I just want to make sure that it gets out there, because since that interrogation video was posted, I thought it was very telling. So I wanted to make sure that we covered this and brought up this conversation again. Because as I pointed out, this company is still going on today. They are still selling the same product today. This culture is still happening today. There's probably like hundreds of people that have died since January 8th, 2022, when Alene did, over this exact same sort of thing. And so I think that we need to spread awareness about that. So make sure you share this out, give this a like, get it out there. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and hanging out with me this afternoon. I had an amazing long weekend. I had a lovely, lovely Valentine's Day. I had an amazing family day. Just hung out with my family all weekend. And now I'm going to go and relax. I did publish some articles over the weekend as well on deheck.com. So make sure that you go and check all of those out as well. And I hope that you all have a fabulous, amazing rest of your day. I'm hoping that a video about Scientology is going to go up tomorrow. And I'll let you know if there will be a live stream by the end of the day. So thank you, everyone. I love all of your faces. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.